1, 2, 1, 2. But, is this working?
Or that? Or that?
1, 2, 1, 2. Do you hear me? Wait.
1. No. 1 may just not be on, right? In terms of in there.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Why wouldn't be though? Is I mean you'll be back by then, but
I'm reading names.
okay. Sorry.
It's part of my sermon. Okay.
Gotcha.
But, where is,
I don't know.
I was doing everything tonight? Okay.
Tomorrow, just a couple things, but not really. Just like only one tour tomorrow. I was not here and didn't want to get there, so I was like, okay.
Okay. at me when I have issues to record, okay?
They're a Chick-fil-A.
Well, she's gonna read directly from the book. Isla doesn't need a reminder. I mean, she's gonna be kiddish.
Oh, you didn't
Mirror. Calling your in-laws in town for it.
It's go time.
Where are they? All right. We're gonna go. Go.
Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We begin on page 142 with Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Boachem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Baruchuni LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Seitchem LeShalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Melech Malachei Hamelachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
We turn to the top of page 124, as we read together. We entered the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured. A beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayers. It's our great honor to welcome the Graham family to the Bima as they light our Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav metzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
For those who are able, we rise together for our Kiddush, top of page 123.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu. Zikaron lema'aseh v'reshit, ki hu yom tehillah lemikra'e kodesh, zecher litziat Mitzrayim, kivanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta Mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha be'achava uvratzon chinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat.
Amen. L'chaim.
Is it good? Please be seated. We read together at the top of page 127, 127. There are days we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat we seek not to acquire but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if we're a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat we stand and wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act we care nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat we remember that justice is our duty, a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace. We turn to page 138, L'chadodi.
Lechandodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Lechandodi likrat kala penei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor v'zachor merimor chad השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה, מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך ומאורי, אורי, אורי, שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
For those who are able, we rise together to greet Shabbat HaMalkah.
בואי ושלום עטרת מעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
The bottom of page 145. Entrances to holiness are everywhere. The possibility of ascent is all the time, even like unlikely times and through unlikely places. There's no place on earth without the presence. We say right here, our Chetzi Kaddish 144.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה, בעלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומייכון ובחי לכל בית ישראל. בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך, לעלם ולעלמי עלמיה יתברך. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם, ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. ברכו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירן בעלמה, ואמרו אמן.
We rise together, 146.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared? Yada-dai-dai-dai, yada-dai-dai-dai, Yada die die die, 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 yada die die die. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach le'olam ba'ed, le'olam ba'ed. Yada dai dai dai, 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 yada dai dai dai.
Top of page 148.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bivaro ma'ariv aravim, bechochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umsader et hakochavim, b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel orb mipnei hoshech, v'hoshech mipnei or. Uma'avir yom umevi laila, umavdil ben yom uvein laila, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam tamid mimloch alenu le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim.
Amen. Yasher koach.
$150.
Ahavat olam Beit Yisrael, Amcha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochveinu uvkumeinu, nasiach mechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, u'v'mitzvotecha leolam ba'ed. Ki heim chayenu be'orech yameinu, ubahem nehgeh yomam halayla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu leolamim, Baruch atah Adonai Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Baruch Shem kevod, Malchuto leolam va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Amazing.
Told Kayla to
Yashikov.
take the night off now. Okay. We continue together at the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe that we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Our song of liberation and also our song of joy, our Michamocha 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני מלוך לעולם ועד. יאי די 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 די, יאי די 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 די, יאי די 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 די, יאי די 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 די.
The top of page 161. As we read together, let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Our Hashkivenu, right there, 160.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom. והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu l'chaim, l'chaim.
163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru 162.
Vishameru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'torotam berit olam beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti le'olam le'olam ki sheishet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz ubayom hashvi Shabbat vayinafash.
The middle of page 165 as we continue together. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city, but prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. For those who are able, we rise together for our tefillah 166.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim v'Konei HaKol וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם למען שמו באהבה מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן ברוך אתה אדוני מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, צומח נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר, ניחמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים, Baruch atah Adonai mechayei hametim. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. And please join me in the reading, top of page 179. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul. May the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם, תשים לעולם. ברוך אתה אדוני המברך את עמו ישראל בשלום. We take a few moments for private prayer. יהי רצון אמרי פי, יהי רצון אמרי פי, והגיון ליבי לפניך, אדוני צורי וגואלי. Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו
At this moment in our service, we think of those in our community, those especially who are in need of healing of body or spirit. Sophia Berry, Mary Lynn Bates, Margaret Bell, Laura Bott Carroll or Reed Cohen, Lydia Cutler, Beth Goldstein, Daniela Bott Janice, Jennifer King, Ronald Lambert, Cindy Land, Robin Lazarus, Marilyn Leeds, Rush Lishkoff, Richard Magnati, Stephen Muss, Ron Ostreicher, Chad Petrowski, Malka Bat Rachel, Bob Renault, Devorah Bat Shoshana, Alan Unger, and Scott Weisberg. For those of us tonight here, if you're thinking of a loved one, a friend, someone who means so much to you, who's in need of healing of body or spirit, we invite you to share that name out loud, either by rising or when my eyes meet yours. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, our Misha Berach, our prayer for healing, middle of page 371.
Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Le'imoteinu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishem Berach Imoteinu Mekor HaBracha La'avoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
I find it always strange when people would talk about Memorial Day weekend. First, there's some sales, some capacity at stores, and second, the news talks about the difficulties of traveling at various airports and highways. It's always, I guess, bothered me. Living in San Diego for 5 years, you really got to see the veteran community up front, especially homeless veterans. And even today, I was getting Lillian a new pair of shoes, and the salesman was wearing an airborne hat, and I asked him, what was his MOS, meaning what is his military occupation specialty? And as we learned in San Diego, asking someone their MOS, it gives them ownership over their veteran service, rather than thank you for your service. And he told me what he was in. I may have not known what the Bravo Echo 43 was, but it was important for him. And I kept on thinking about it on the way home. In the collective memory of our vets who died in service, and we really don't mourn them. And then every Memorial Day, our JWV, our local group here, they give me this sacred list to read. These are those Jewish soldiers who passed away during Operations Iraqi Freedom, Enduring Freedom, New Dawn, and Freedom Sentinel, current as May 2023. And just like almost a piece of Torah, this list, to me, it's sacred. And it bothers me that the way we honor their memories is through travel or getting 25% off something that really isn't important at the end of the day. And then another question came to mind. As these people, these brave Jewish soldiers, Americans, lost their lives defending our freedom, the type of country and the type of world they'd be seeing, especially post-October 7th. And just a simple scan of the week, we saw the absurdity of the ICC court, a warrant for the Prime Minister of Israel, a ruling to stop the invasion of Rafah. We saw the absurdity of Spain, Ireland, and Norway recognizing the state of Palestine. And keep in mind, there was no conversation of recognizing the state on October 6th. So the only way to see this is rewarding terrorism. And again, I think of these brave Jews, knowing that the bodies of 4 hostages the IDF recovered, a tunnel that was, of course, located in the UNRWA, United Nations Refugees Works Association. I wonder what our vets would think of the awful acts of the college graduations, the college presidents who testified before Congress, only exacerbating the pain that we feel. I wonder what they would think of the release of the Nahal Oz, that video where the Hamas terrorists were so thrilled to receive the 5 Jewish women that we know what's going to happen to them. And I also think about what they would thought, that the survivors at the Nova Music Festival, we're not talking about this, but over 50 of them who survived it committed suicide. I also what they think of how newspapers are auditing the coverage of mainstream media outlets and how there's been horrendous coverage regarding Israel and nearly pro-stories regarding Hamas. Each Shabbat, I pray that this war comes to an end. I pray for peace every time Cantor sings. I pray for peace every night. I daven the Psalms. I try to find the good in the world. I want this war to end so badly that Israelis and Jews can finally mourn what was taken away. But each week, we as a staff, we as a Jewish community, we continue to hear the cries of this congregation and the Jewish community. The questions range from when will this stop? Why is this happening? It is 2024. We are the most emancipated, our innovation, our technology, we're the most progressive country, what we have strived for, and yet we still have that silence from our friends, the failure of elected leaders. How can any reasonable person believe any of the Hamas data? I wish I had the perfect answers to these questions. And all I can do is think of how and one day this war will end. And part of me wants to give up. I want all of us, the Jewish community in Israel and in the diaspora, to shut it all down. Doesn't matter of our accomplishments post-1945. Do we have to be reclusive? Do we have to isolate ourselves? Do we have to live in the Western world where Jews had so much success, but now once again the Jewish problem is alive and well? How do we live in the West when its ideals have failed? Even with every fact, every study, everything, I still can't answer these questions. We as Jews, we have given peace so many times. The Peel Commission in 1933, which have given the Arabs a state, Oslo, Camp David Accords, you name it, leaving Gaza in 2005. Right now, we would drop our weapons instantly for the sake of peace. But again, it's so easy for us to shut it down. And I go to the Torah portion, Parshat Bahar, and it talks about the sabbatical year and the importance of Jews to leave one's field to demonstrate the spiritual world and enter into a corridor, as the great Sfat HaEmet taught us, a 19th century rabbi, to leave the tangible world for a spiritual community. At this part of the teaching, it felt that he wasn't wrong. If you don't think that our Jewish community is wrestling with notions of God and Jewish theology, and there's an often joke that we've been saying for the past couple decades, how do we describe a Jewish holiday? We suffered, let's eat. And they tried to kill us. I don't think we can say that one anymore. And again, even with our contributions, our service, our commitment to the Jewish community, and Hal v'chomer, the non-Jewish community, we have done so many incredible things. Our innovation, our ability to achieve merit, to work hard, to succeed, to become professionals, lawyers, and doctors, to be civic leaders, to be on the Supreme Court, running for Congress, to be college presidents. We have seized this country through the beauty of liberty and liberal values. But now I look at the world and wonder, what was the point? And should we once and for all remove ourselves? Because the world still has a Jewish problem. But then, the Sfat Emet, again, the great 19th century rabbi from Poland, he gives us an answer. We cannot abstain from the world in which we live in. We are obligated to live in it and to do good things. And then I look back at the teaching of Rabbi Hirsch, who wrote his brilliant 19 letters, writing 200 years ago, and said, the purpose of a Jew living in a secular world is to engage in righteousness and loving kindness. It's to feed the poor. It's to comfort those who mourn, regardless if one is Jewish or not. Is to assist by word and deed. And then as a historian, I look back. During the medieval period when life as being Jewish wasn't good, when people had Nachmanides who would publicly debate the value of Torah and win. We composed literature, Jewish law, Jewish holidays, more ritual. These were during the Crusades, during the pogroms. We didn't give up then. And even as bad as it may seem, with such a failure of Western ideals, we cannot give up. And what I'm asking our Jewish community is that we have to work harder. not to prove ourselves that we have the skill set to do X, Y, and Z, but to do work harder despite all of the hate in the world against us. We will still do good. We've been doing this for 2,500 years. Empires have attacked us. We're still standing. Regimes come, but we're still here. And the reason we're still here is because we love our tradition. We want to love the community. We want to be part of it. This war will end in a month, in 6 months, who knows? But when it does end, I want us to reflect on the life that we lived. Were we reclusive? Did we isolate ourselves? Or did we rise to the occasion? Did we engage in more mitzvot? Did we study more Torah? Did we light the Shabbos candles? Did we bless our children? The generations of the past were able to do this. We can do it too. For our children and their children. We are commanded to be in this world. And therefore, as my final message for you tonight, as dark as the world may seem, we've been through this world already. Again, I say, we will go the mile, we will go the marathon. Righteousness and loving kindness from the Jewish community shall permeate everywhere. And when we do this, this is a legacy that our generation will leave behind. Shabbat Shalom. We're also commanded, it's written in the Torah, to bring joy. Candle Witter is going to do that now.
It's an awkward transition, but okay. Yeah, we're doing the Omer game. Woo! Okay, so we're going to start off sort of simple, and then I'm going to have to contextualize a little bit of what I'm doing here. So, we are on night 32, counting the Omer. I'm not supposed to really say it, but you got to know what the number is for the trivia. Who is our 32nd president? He was the last to serve more than 2 terms. Roosevelt, yes, good. Starting sort of, this one's kind of hard unless we have particular skill set here, but does anybody know what element has the atomic number 32? It is a metalloid in the carbon group. It's silver looking. A lot of this community and myself personally share a heritage with it, let's say, in its name. Germania, yes, there. Germanium. Okay, so here's where things sort of change a little bit.
I didn't.
No, he definitely did not.
That's the rules. Omer game, it's honest. It's Torah.
Okay, so usually I come up with a couple of these basic ones, and then I want to include something that is related to Judaism, because that would be a nice thing to do. But it turned out, actually, that I started looking for other things, and the Judaism just came to me. So it worked out very nicely, despite the number being 32, which who would have guessed, but there's plenty out there. So I first started looking, and it turns out the number 32 was the most commonly worn jersey number out of all, if you took the NBA top 75 all time, 32 is the most commonly worn jersey number. Can anybody shout out a name of anybody in the NBA in that list? Yes. In football, yes.
32?
Yeah? Magic Johnson, yes, that's one. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said over back there. Not quite, but almost. Just to list a few. So we got Shaq, Karl Malone, Dr. J, Magic, Kevin McHale, Bill Walton, Jason Kidd. It's a big list for that number. Then, though, I sort of wanted to include, because our rabbi is such a big hockey fan, who are the great hockey 32s? Turns out there aren't that many. The only real one, the only one that was really applicable, that of people I knew at least, from Jonathan Quick, one of the great goalies, is 32. Then I wanted to give Rabbi a little bit of quiz on if there were any Red Wings who were 32 that he would know.
Steve Chason?
Give me 1 second.
You had to look it up.
Well, I took a picture of the list so that I...
Paul Eisbach, Steve Chason.
I don't know. This is not too important. The only one that I recognized from the list was Thomas Kopetsky.
Thomas played for 2 years.
He's the only name I knew from that list. But it turns out also, just cycling through the sports, Sandy Koufax was 32. So we have our Jewish connection there. Exactly. There. So then going into the more Jewish-specific content, it turns out that there is a famous 6th century Kabbalistic book called Sefer Yetzirah, and it describes sort of the connection among the Sfirot, which are sort of like aspects of God, and it turns out there are 32 described paths of wisdom sort of connecting these different Sfirot. So that's one Jewish connection. And then, amazingly, for our Benot Mitzvah this week, Behar, our Torah portion this week, is the 32nd Torah portion. So we have a weird little coincidence there that worked out very nicely for you. Let's chant our blessing for counting the Omer, and we rise on page 570.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat haomer hayom 32 yom shehem 4 shavuot ve'arba'a yamim la'omer. Today is the 32nd day, which is 4 weeks and 4 days of the Omer.
Remain standing, Aleinu 586.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. מה אנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. Before we list those who have passed away on the Yort site, I want to ask those who served our country to please rise. Those who served our country. I'm asking you to stand as I recall the names of those who have fallen. Specialist Daniel J. Agmani, U.S. Army. Sergeant Howard P. Allen, Arizona Army National Guard. First Lieutenant David R. Bernstein, U.S. Army. Corporal Albert Bitten, U.S. Army. Sergeant Aran C. Bloom, U.S. Marine Corps. Petty Officer 2nd Class Michael Berdowski, U.S. Navy. Petty Officer 3rd Class Nathan Brunkendahl, U.S. Coast Guard. Tactical Sergeant Anthony L. Capra, U.S. Air Force. Sergeant 1st Class Christopher A. Seelas, U.S. Army. Corporal Ryan J. Clark, U.S. Army. Corporal Michael R. Cohen, U.S. Marine Corps. Second Lieutenant Seth J. Dvorin, U.S. Army. Lance Corporal Mark E. Engel, U.S. Marine. Corporal Mark A. Envin, U.S. Marine. Private First Class Aaron E. Fairbairn, U.S. Army. First Lieutenant Daniel Farkas, Army. Sergeant Zachary M. Fisher, Army. Specialist Jacob Fletcher, Army. Specialist Daniel J. Freeman, Army. Specialist Douglas Green, Army. Sergeant Forces Al Harrington, Marine. Airman First Class Elizabeth Jacobson, Air Force. Lance Corporal Jeremy M. Kane, U.S. Marine. Petty Officer Second Class, Navy SEAL Matthew G. Cantor, U.S. Navy. First Lieutenant Nathan M. Krisoff, U.S. Marine. Staff Sergeant James M. Malachowski, Marine. Private First Class Gebra P. Noonan, Army. Specialist Levi E. Nuncio, Army. Corporal Michael Arimas, U.S. Army. Staff Sergeant Robert J. Paul, Army Reserve. Major Mark E. Rosenberg, Army. Corporal Dustin H. Strog, Marines. First Lieutenant Rosin L. Schuttle, U.S. Air Force. Captain Joseph Schultz, Army. Captain Robin Scher, Marine Corps. Specialist Mark S. Seiden, U.S. Army. Airman First Class Matthew R. Sedler, Air Force. Staff Sergeant Michael B. Shackelfold, U.S. Army. Private First Class Stephen Shapiro, Army. Sergeant Alan D. Sherman, Marine. Chief Warrant Officer Joshua Silverman, Army. Captain Benjamin Sclaver, Army. Chief Warrant Officer Eric A. Smith, Army. Private First Class Eric D. Sufreen, Army. First Lieutenant Andrew K. Stern, Marine. Captain Michael Tarvlovsky, Army. Staff Sergeant Peter W. Taub, Army Air Force, Private First Class Morris L. Walker, Army. Specialist Glenn G. Watkins, Washington National Guard. Technical Sergeant Timothy R. Weiner, Air Force. Sergeant Robert W. Wanger, Army. Specialist Jeffrey M. Wershow, Florida Army National Guard. Private First Class Colin J. Wolf, Marine. Major Stuart A. Wolfer, Army. Sergeant Elijah Wong, Army. Specialist Benjamin Ben Yehuda, Army. Senior Airman Jonathan A.V. Yellner, Air Force. And Lieutenant Stephen Zilberman, Navy. We will continue engaging in acts of love and acts of righteousness, bimiuchad, especially for them. Please be seated. On this Shabbat, we recall the yortzites of Rosa Avedon, Bernard Axel, Harris Toro Bellows, Eleanor Boozman Bennett, Elsie Cohen Bernheim, Chaya Sarah Bitran, Harold B. Black, Harold Bowman Black Sr., Helen Bruck, Gary Marshall Cohen, Lottie Kolick, Phoebe Cotton, Irving Gandler, Rose Katz Gottlieb, Andrea Gold, Sylvia Gauss, Jeannie Gunderson, Barbary Heister, Fasciola Carley, apologize for pronunciation, Abe Kessler, George Kirschberg, Fedora Krentzman, Annie Cronenberg, Shirley Leventhal, Kay Goldstein Lewis, Mildred A. Mann, Burchard Moses Marks, Martin May, Felix Mandel, Mildred Overbach, Abraham Papier, James Patrick, Ruben Piha, Irene Rich, Pete Roth, Sandra Russell, Lena Soloway, Minnie W. Salomon, Linda Schwartz, Dee Dee Sokol, Martin Stoll, Ronnie Taylor, and Richard Wertheimer. Our heartfelt condolences of those who passed away during Shloshim, Barbara Edelman, Patricia Pat Ann Haas, and Donna Cates Miller. May all of their memories forever be a blessing. If it is your custom to rise for the Morris Kaddish, we invite you to do so. 598. Yikadal v'kadash shemei rabah, Bioma divrach leotev amlich malchutei, B'chayachon of Yom Echon, V'chayei v'kol Beit Yisrael, B'agalau izman kariv yimru,
Amen.
Yehei shemei rabah mevarach le'olam alamei almaya, Yiparach v'hishtabach v'hipa'ar v'hitromam hitnaseh, V'itadar v'italev v'talal shemei dekudsha,
Brichu.
Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata, Tushachata v'nechamata, Damin ram yelma v'yimru,
Amen.
Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'el kol Yisrael, v'yimru,
Amen.
Oseh shalom b'imromav, Hu yaseh shalom, aleinu v'el kol Yisrael, v'yimru,
Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, me'imeru, Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
Shabbat shalom. Please join us for
Shabbat shalom.
Oneg downstairs.
What? What?
I'm coming. I escalate up the chain. Thank you. I'll be right back. I go do my police report now. What was that? Committed suicide.